Well, I was in Memorial for a couple weeks when they took off the leg and everything. I was up on the fifth floor and I had a view of the playground, which was always, of course, utterly desolate. I was all awash in the metaphorical resonance of the empty playground in the hospital courtyard. But then this girl started showing up alone at the playground. Every day, swinging on a swing completely alone, like you'd see in a movie or something. So I asked one of my nicer nurses to get the skinny on the girl, and the nurse brought her up to visit, and it was Caroline. And I used my immense charisma to win her over. He paused, so I decided to say something. You're not that charismatic, I said. He scoffed, disbelieving. You're mostly just hot, I explained. He had left it off. The thing about dead people, he said, and then stopped himself. The thing is, you sound like a bastard if you don't romanticize them, but the truth is complicated. I guess, like, you're familiar with the trope of the stoic and determined cancer victim who heroically fights her cancer with inhuman strength and never complains or stops smiling even at the very end, etc. Indeed, I said, they are kind-hearted and generous souls whose every breath is an inspiration to us all. They're so strong. We admire them so. Right, but really, I mean aside from us obviously. Cancer kids are not statistically more likely to be awesome or compassionate or perseverant or whatever. Perseverant or whatever. Caroline was always moody and miserable, but I liked it. I liked feeling as if she had chosen me as the only person in the world not to hate. And so we spent all this time together, just ragging on everyone, you know? Ragging on the nurses and the other kids and our families and whatever else. But I don't know if that was her or the tumor. I mean, one of her nurses told me once that the kind of tumor Caroline had is known among medical types as the asshole tumor because it just turns you into a monster. So here's this girl missing a fifth of her brain who's just had a recurrence of the asshole tumor. And so she was not, the paragon of stoic cancer kid heroism. She was, to be honest, she was a bitch. But you can't say that because she had this tumor. And also she's dead. And she had plenty of reason to be unpleasant, I knew. You know the part in an Imperial Affliction when Anna's walking across the football field to go to PE or whatever, and she falls and goes face first into the grass. And that's when she knows that the cancer is back and in her nervous system, and she can't get up, and her face is like an inch from the football field grass, and she's just stuck there looking at this grass up close, noticing the way the light hits it and I don't remember the line, but it's something like Anna having the with the revelation that the definition of a humanist in the opportunity to marvel at the majesty of creation or whatever. You know that part? I know that part, I said. So afterward, while I was getting eviscerated by chemo, for some reason I decided to feel really hopeful. Not about Survivor specifically, but I felt like Anna does in the book. That feeling of excitement and gratitude about just being able to marvel at it all. But meanwhile, Caroline got worse every day. She went home after a while, and there were moments where I thought we could have, like, a regular relationship, but we couldn't. Really, because she had no filter between her touch and her speech, which was sad and unpleasant and frequently hurtful. But you can't dump a girl with a brain tumor. And her parents like me, and she has this little brother who is a really cool kid. I mean, how can you dump her? She's dying. It took forever. It took almost a year, and it was a year of me hanging out with this girl who would, like, just started laughing out of nowhere and pointed at my prosthetic and called me Stumpy. Call me Stumpy. No, I said. Yeah, I mean, it was the tumor. It ate her brain, you know? Or it wasn't the tumor. I have no way of knowing, because they were inseparable, she and the tumor. But as she got sicker, I mean, she'd just repeat the same stories and laugh at her own comments, even if she'd already said the same thing 100 times that day. Like she made the same joke over and over again for weeks. Gus has great legs. I mean leg. And then she would just laugh like a maniac. Oh, Gus, I said. That's... I didn't know what to say. He wasn't looking at me, and it felt invasive of me to look at him. I felt him scoot forward. He took the cigarette out of his mouth and stared at it, rolling it between his thumb and forefinger, then put it back. Well, he said, to be fair, I do have great leg. I'm sorry, I said. I'm really sorry. It's all good, Hazel Grace, but just to be clear, when I thought I saw Caroline Mathers's ghost in the support group, I was not entirely happy. I was staring, but I wasn't yearning, if you know what I mean. He pulled the pack out of his pocket and placed the cigarette back in it. I'm sorry, I said again. Me too, he said. I don't even want to do that to you. I told him, oh, I wouldn't mind, Hazel Grace. It would be a privilege to have my heart broken by you.